welcome to Scrollin', episode 114. I'm Ket. Joining me as always, Davey Starjumper. How's it going, man?
Happy to be here. Happy
All
to
right.
be here. That's what I'm going to go with on this episode. Happy to be here.
We're going with happy to be here this time. Okay.
I feel good about it.
I feel like I have like 5 or 6 greetings that I say to you, and then you have like 5 or 6 responses, and it's just like a shuffle, you know.
The best part about that, though, in my mind, it's like 100 different responses. Like, I haven't used this one before. Used it 2 episodes ago. Look at me using my new words.
I'm happy you're here too. I'm also happy to be here. Update 40 is live. I thought we could just do a really quick rundown, like a feature roundup, just a reminder of all the new stuff that we got with this update. So first and foremost is this new activity, the Endless Archive, this solo/duo, forever dungeon that just gets harder and harder until it's literally impossible. Shout out to Grizzly Khan. He and I did a duo run. Davius, you and I did a duo run.
Yep.
We've also did a number of solo runs. Long story short, I think it's okay. I think it's good. What do you think? What's your impression, Davius?
I think it's fun. I think it's a nice. I don't know. It's not. I think ESO's done a very good job of like adding in these extra layers, and it's like if this was the only thing to do, maybe it's not enough there. But they just keep adding in like kind of these just extra layers of things to do. And when you add them all together, man, there's a lot of different things that players can get into in ESO. Like they've kind of made a very wide scope for players, I would say. And this is just kind of one more notch in that belt.
Yeah, I think I have to remind myself that this is a free thing, right? Like no money required or anything like that. It's just everyone has access to this thing. When we were doing a duo run last night, I was telling you, like, it's nothing, it doesn't like blow my mind, but it's very playable, like
Yeah.
I definitely like don't mind doing it. Like I've been farming for these class set pieces, and it's kind of a long grind, but I really don't mind. I can just kind of put on a podcast or put on some music or whatever and just zone out, and it's a very kind of smooth experience pretty much. I'm getting this kind of slow drip of rewards, this little kind of dopamine hit every so often. I don't have to think too much, it's just kind of just the right amount of engaging. I wouldn't say it's like, I'm having so much fun, but as far as like, well, I just need to do some grinding, I just put it on a podcast and go. It's real easy to do that, and it's good for that.
I think my curiosity is piqued for, I'm interested to see where it's at once you when you get these sets. Like when you've grinded the class sets, like then what is this thing? Like, once you have the class sets, is it something that we're still going to do every now and then? Like, is there going to be other potential rewards added to it?
Yeah, that's interesting because they did say that they plan to add additional class sets in the future for the other skill lines. So is that going to be part of new content, or is it going to be added to this thing?
Yeah. Because that's kind of my worry, that it's a similar to worry to where Antiquities was. Like Antiquities, when it came out, it's kind of crazy to think about now. When Antiquities came out, it's like, that's all, like, I feel like that's all I did for like in the game for like a month was just grind Antiquities up. And then when I got like all of the mythics that I wanted and got that all taken care of, it was kind of like, all right, like now I never do Antiquities again. And I was worried I was never going to do it again. But now that they've kind of set this mode in the game of, okay, they release, new mythic items with new update content. It's like you kind of always go back to Antiquities to get the new mythic items. So it's kind of this slightly reoccurring thing that you can still go and utilize, but not near as much when it came out. And so I hope this kind of becomes something like that. Like I hope once you get these class sets that I don't want this to be, once I get the class sets I want, that this is something that just goes away and I never use again.
Grizzly in the chat says they're rotating rewards through the merchants that are in there. So I guess that would be the thing that keeps you coming back. Like, oh, this week in the merchants, or I don't know how often they rotate, but maybe those merchants will have some sort of housing item or some lead or something like that you really want to get a hold of. Also, it's kind of I don't know, Grizzly, maybe the rotation. Like, as you go through the endless archive, it's only that final arc boss that gives you the class set drop. The bosses in between give you like random overland drops, like from Murkmire and different places like that, and it's all curated. Every
Yeah.
single piece that I've gotten is a non-collected piece, and it seems like it's all from like one or two zones that I've been getting. I don't know exactly where it draws from, but I think it's supposed to rotate zones periodically, so eventually you'll have everything collected if you're doing this thing all the time.
That's actually a really good point. That's kind of I didn't think about that, but based on what I just said, like a continued reason to go and just kind of do it casually would be to just continually collect, item
Yeah,
sets.
if you're just trying to kill time, like, oh, this week they're doing Stonefalls. That's the drops that they're doing this week, and
Hmm.
I need some of those sets, so I can just do that to fill up that sticker book.
That's a great point.
It's kind of a neat that they do that. That's a neat aspect of it, that you're just kind of slowly accumulating that stuff for your collection. So I think it's a neat thing. I think if you just remind yourself of the fact that it's free, it's just a
Hmm.
free thing thrown into the game, and it's really actually designed pretty well. It's kind of a slow grind, but it's not the worst grind as far as like just the actual experience compared to like the Maelstrom Arena,
Yeah.
even Vadishran, which I think is a pretty fun thing, but Vadishran, you kind of have to think about what you're doing, and things have to be done in a certain order, and it's kind of hard to just zone out on that one to me.
Yeah.
This one, you really can just kill the bad guys.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And they did a good job with the when you do fight that crystal boss, it's just complete chaos. That thing is wild as far as the animations go. That thing
Even
is
just like the second iteration of it is just
yeah.
like a major leap in
Yeah.
difficulty. It ramps up quick.
It gets really out of control.
It gets bizarre too. Like some of
Yeah.
those
Who
later
knows who
stages.
knows what's going on?
It's some of the visuals are very cool.
Yeah. So I would say that, trying to be as critically as I can be is that kind of like you said, is it's nothing that's like a game changer for the game, but it is a really nice one more layer of like an additional thing to do. Like, you got BGs, you got dungeons, you got leveling characters, you got doing story quests.
It's also a good place, like just kind of a good testing ground for like a PVE build. If you just have like
Oh,
an idea,
absolutely. Yeah,
just have an idea for a
absolutely.
PVE build. Like, well, let's see how far this build gets me in the endless archive. Let's see how good it is. So yeah, that's the endless archive, and then of course the class sets are kind of the featured thing in there. That's the main reason to do it. I farmed out a set of the Nightblade set, the Soul Cleaver. Still working on getting all the pieces collected, but I at least have collected enough to put a build together with it, and I've been using it.
It must be nice. That
It's
must
nice.
be
Yeah.
nice.
I'll talk more about that later, but
Uh,
spoiler, it is a very good set. I like it a lot.
mhm, mhm.
Are you getting any closer to getting your DK set yet? Your
You
basalt?
know, there's a theme to my grinding capabilities and my luck in the game. And let's just say with the archive, it has continued. I've
Mhm.
done multiple runs. I snuck another run in since last we talked. And just to clarify for you, I have let's see how many pieces I have now. I've got all I'm trying to grind, by the way, is just a body set, just a regular 5-piece body set of
Yeah.
the basalt uh, blooded warrior set. And I've got 3 pauldrons unlocked, 3 of the boots unlocked, and 3 of the belt unlocked,
Mhm.
with a sword and a shield added to it. So my runs have been very unique. I guess I'm just unlocking it one armor piece at a time instead of just, I think I'm up to
Yeah, you have
like
like 13 pieces, but you can only equip like 4 or something
yes.
like that.
I've got like I think it's like 14 pieces and 3 actual body pieces that I can
Mhm.
actually utilize. So it's been a unique experience. It looks like that it just looks like that's just, that's the Davius way. Let me
Yeah.
make sure that I get a full multiple, tens of dozens of runs before I really get
And it doesn't help that the sets come in medium, heavy, and light, so it's going to make you get every single one of those things before you get what you want.
My first 3 drops were all 3 shoulder pieces. That's how it started. And then I started getting like
and you use a monster set, so you don't even use any of those.
That was not helpful at all. So
that's funny. They're just showing you right off the bat. This is how this is going to go, buddy. This is how your farming's going to go.
Listen, Davius, we remember you. All right, we remember. They're still upset. I have done something on the grinding. I was too critical of my 50 Maelstrom runs. They're reminding me, even with the new set cure, where you can get the sticker book and get all the sets. They're still finding ways to make sure that I get my numbers in.
So, hopefully by the next episode you'll have that set, and we'll
the plan.
We'll hear about that.
That's the plan.
There's also this new group finder. I haven't actually used it yet, but I have taken a peek at it once in a while just to see what's going on in there. It seems like PvE people are using it quite a bit. I see some trial groups posted there. I see some dungeon groups, some arena like Dragonstar Arena. Stuff like that. I have not seen any PvP groups like trying to get together or anything like that. It's all PvE stuff, but it seems like people are using it. So good addition to the game. Nice little quality of life thing. Again, a free thing that's just thrown into the game.
I actually forgot that was a thing. We talked about it a lot about what we potentially thought it was, and I actually completely forgot about it until we started talking about it on this.
Just now?
Yeah, till just now. Just 4 seconds ago, I had forgotten about it. So
yeah, I had forgotten about it too. I just kind of randomly remembered. I'm like, oh, let me just look at that. And there's a handful of listings for people looking for trial groups and stuff like that. So I feel like it's probably something I will use in the future. If there's some trial set that I'm wanting to farm or whatever, I'll probably use that to try to get a group together, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. It's kind of maybe an easier way to get into a trial group if you're trying to farm a certain set in there.
Yeah, totally. There's these new Grandmaster crafting stations where it's like an all-in-one attunable crafting station thing. I haven't actually used one yet, but they're in the game.
Have you seen one yet?
No, I haven't even seen any yet. On a related note, the best thing about the update is this jewelry crafting rebalance. So it's just way, way, way easier to upgrade your jewelry now. Have you taken advantage of this yet? Upgraded any jewelry pieces? Or
I have not, but I definitely I've collected my gold, my gold mats, and I will be. But I'm kind of nervous. Like, it's so easy to gold stuff, but I still have the old school mentality of like, you better be sure before you do it.
I still haven't golded anything, but I did have a couple of, a handful of blue pieces that I've just kind of been sitting on because I knew this update was coming, so I didn't want to upgrade anything until it got here. So I've upgraded a few pieces. I even crafted a Wretched jewelry piece. I crafted a Kavash Gladiator jewelry piece, and it's no big deal. It's just easy to do.
Have you seen the price of gold jewelry mats? What their new average price is nowadays?
I looked at the purple ones earlier today, and they were like $15K a piece, which is way lower than they were. I think they were like $80K or so before. Didn't look at the gold, though.
I looked at the gold the other night, and the average price was $37K for the
That's
gold
incredible.
mat, which is
gold.
just,
It's going to keep going down, I mean,
add a zero to that's what it used to be. Yeah, and it's only continue going to, like, with the change, I feel like that there's only going to continue to be a flood to the market of there's only going to be more of these, and so I think the price is going to just continue to go down.
Yeah, well, because people don't have really huge stacks yet. They got to build them up. Like check in 6 months from now, it's going to be like half the current price, maybe even less than that. I bet.
Yeah.
As someone who has no idea what they're talking about, that's my prediction.
Sure. Stamp of approval.
As far as economy, supply and demand kind of stuff, no idea. And then a handful of combat and balance changes. I'll skip a lot of the less impactful stuff, but the Arcanist Gibbering Shelter Ultimate, the one that gives your allies that shield every 1 second, It's every 4 seconds now, so big nerf to that. Also, the Rune of Eldritch Horror, the single target fear or charm ability, much easier to break free out of now. And I've been paying attention to that. It indeed does seem much easier to break out of that now. So that's
Nice.
good. For Dragon Knights, the Inferno ability, that's the base ability of Cauterize and Flames of Oblivion. It now gives you your major crit buff on both bars at all times, no matter where you have it slotted. And Molten Whip, similar thing. You can generate those Seething Fury stacks on either bar. You don't have to be on the bar that Molten Whip is on. Corrosive Armor, you can no longer generate ultimate while corrosive is active. So that's what's going on with DK. None of those things affect you, Davius.
Nope. I actually, I'm thinking through all of the changes, and the corrosive change, it may be my favorite change this whole patch. As a leaping DK main, I just struggled with everybody who played Dragon Knights in PvP. It was like, you better have corrosive. Whatever your Dragon Knight build it was like Dragon Knight corrosive, and then what else? And so it's exciting to see Dragon Knights now, like corrosive. You just don't see it near as much on Dragon Knights, and that's exciting.
You definitely are seeing a lot more leaps for sure.
It may be, and I don't know. This, time will tell. Like, is it going to be too strong of nerf where like now nobody uses corrosive? I don't necessarily want that, but it is nice to see Dragon Knights doing different things than corrosive. It's a nice change for sure.
I think, probably people will go back to using corrosive how most DKs used to, which is it's your back bar ultimate. It's like if you're in a real bad situation, you can use that, but it's not going to be, your goal is to just be in corrosive as much as possible all the time.
Yeah, and that's really the key piece to it, is that it's meant to be a defensive ability, and it got to the point where it was 100% an offensive ability, and so it's nice to kind of see it more the defensive DK ability.
Oh yeah, it was a real common kind of build, is basically just to build defensive, where 2 defensive sets and your damage just comes from corrosive, so you just play tanky, turtle up until you get your ultimate, then go offensive, and then just go right back to turtling up. That's very common, or was very common for DKs. Templars, the Radiant Glory morph of the beam, now restores magicka when it deals damage based on your target's missing health, with a maximum of 480 per tick, which is actually quite a bit.
It does seem like a lot.
And then the Restoring Aura ability, it gives you all 3 minor recovery buffs on either bar. More double bar action.
You using Restoring Aura now?
Yeah, I'm using it on Betsy. It's good. I was already using it before this patch. I don't really notice it. It's just kind of a convenient thing if I happen to forget to cast it, because I'm already casting it to give it to my teammates, and it lasts a minute. So I was already getting it on my back bar, because I was casting it on myself. But if I happen to forget to cast it, I guess this has me covered on the back bar. So it's a nice little thing.
Nice.
And then Warden's the Permafrost ultimate. They reduced the damage by 60% because it was doing more damage than the other morph, which is supposed to be the damage morph, due to the Glacial Presence passive. Necromancers, Sorcerers, and Nightblades pretty much got nothing at all. They were left alone. And then Dawnbreaker has a slightly wider conal area now. And that's it. That's the recap. That's the feature roundup. That's all the stuff that we got in the patch.
That's U40.
Favorite thing, Davius? What do you think? Jewelry crafting rebalance?
It's either that or I like the corrosive. Like I said, I got real tired of Dragon Knights with corrosive. And it's a weird thing to say because Dragon Knights is like that's like my favorite main class to play in PvP. But I just got real tired of how popular corrosive got there for a while.
Well, and it's annoying to fight against too. Yeah. Like, you learn to recognize it, and so you just be like, okay, I just don't fight that person until that's over, and there's there really isn't.
Let's move on.
Yeah, there really is no counterplay, because if you try to fight them, you lose. That's just how that goes. So you just find a tree to run circles around until their ultimate's over, and then you can try to fight them. So yeah. I'm glad to see less corrosive, because it really is not very fun to fight against.
Yeah, it's not. And it's not like for the Dragon Knight kit to be one of like the coolest ability kits, like that's one of their least cool animation abilities in my
Yeah, it
opinion.
doesn't really. You just kind of turn green
Yeah,
and have
you're
this little kind of cloud.
You're
around
slightly
you.
green.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, real DK's leap. We said it before.
oh yeah.
You know, real DK's leap. We all know. So, in PvP land, of course, as always, doing a bunch of BGs. Had some pretty nice duos last night, you and me. We had
Yeah.
Old Betsy and Lord of Nords, the classic duo, paired
Classic
up.
duo. Classic.
Got to give a shout out to Want to Buy My Dog, Dakaira, I think is how you pronounce it, and Napalm. They had a pretty nasty little trio of brawler blades that actually I felt like we were fairly evenly matched a lot of the time, but man, it felt brutal. Like they were really aggressive. They were going at us really hard. It was all friendly fun. We're all friends, you know. But man,
a lot of burst damage from that group.
A ton of burst damage.
0 to 100.
Whenever they focus someone, like you could tell when they kind of got it together and like, okay, focus this person, because they would just blink out of existence all of a sudden.
Yeah, there was not a way out of it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 matches in a row where it was just us and it was us and 2 random teammates and then those 3 and a random 4th each time. And they were good fights every single time. I mean, we were pushed to the limit every single time. But it was like just right though. Like it was just like we were pretty evenly matched, I think.
Very enjoyable, good fun matches that like absolutely no out of control or curb stompings at all. Like it was just good back and forth.
Yeah, we were dishing it and receiving it on both ends. Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely.
So, but actually, the build that I've been playing with, or one of the builds I've been playing with the most here lately, is not Old Betsy. That was just last night. But Catface Johnson, my first ever character, my Nightblade,
the OG.
The OG. He's a Khajiit Nightblade. And I've kind of turned him into the classic ranged sort of blood mage kind of playstyle. I mentioned earlier that I farmed out that Soul Cleaver set, the new Nightblade class set, and I slapped it on this dude. It's an awesome set. I like it a lot. The thing that I think is most noticeable about it is the sustain. It has a huge impact on your sustain. Because if you think about it, the 2 things you spam the most are Swallow Soul, your damage spammable, and Offering, Shrewd Offering or Malevolent, whichever morph, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's your healing spammable. Those are the 2 things you're spamming the most, and those are both siphoning abilities. Those both get the 18% cost reduction, and they're 18% stronger, so you don't even have to spam them as much, you know. And when you do, they cost less. So the impact on sustain is huge. The damage and heals both seem very, very juicy, very noticeable. The Soul Tether ultimate is the best part. You get that thing super duper fast and it hits like a freight train. Super fun to use. I bet you won't catch me doing it, but probably like a Rush of Agony Soul Tether bomb sort of situation with this set would probably work pretty darn well. 18% extra damage to a Soul Tether bomb.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of percentage right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And my survivability, I can definitely tell my survivability feels really good. You know, my main spammable Swallow Soul, it heals me based on damage done, and it's doing 18% more damage. Siphoning attacks makes my light attacks heal me. That's 18% more. I can spam my Shrewd Offering a lot more. Plus, it's stronger as well. So just all around, I'm very survivable. And that's really the thing about this set is it's a sustain set, it's a damage set, and it's a defensive set, all in one. That's what makes it so valuable. It's giving you all this stuff.
That's the parts that really surprised me about it when you were talking about it. It was the defensive side. Like I didn't even think about that part of it. I thought about like obviously heals are a lot better. Obviously the damage is going to be a lot better, but I didn't even think about like the additional defensiveness that it adds to the character. And that was
because that siphoning skill line, like what the name implies, you're siphoning health from your targets. You know, that's kind of what it's all about, is this sort of like lifesteal sort of thing. So it's just amplifying that mechanic. Really, really nice. I guess I should say what the build is. It's Soul Cleaver as a double bar set, War Maiden on the front bar with a lightning staff, Master Bow back bar, Gaze of Sithis Mythic Helm, and One Piece Magma. So yeah, no wretched vitality because the sustain from Soul Cleaver makes it so I don't feel like I really need it. I am using the Jewels of Misrule food to give me that extra sustain back, and it honestly feels really, really good. I don't feel like I need wretched on this setup. I don't know if this will end up ultimately being the final build for this guy. It very well may be. It's been working extremely well, but I'm still kind of toying with different ideas, and we
Tinkering
may end up
still.
yeah, we may end up somewhere else. But that's been working excellent for me, and I can't recommend that enough.
Yeah, you've only said good things about that Soul Cleaver set. It definitely seems like that set will be locked in for this character and build for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Soul Cleaver and War Maiden are going to be locked in. I think the rest of it, especially the Master Bow, that's just kind of like I don't have anything better for the
Mm.
back bar. I'm already using Venom Arrow for my weapon and spell damage buff, so that's just an easy throw the Master
Sure.
Bow on there. They really need to buff the Master Bow. It's not
Man,
great compared to
you remember
other
the
arena
days where
weapons.
that used to be a big deal back in the day? That was the bow, and it's fallen on some hard times.
Yeah, I won't get into it, but it's just compared to other arena weapons, it's very lackluster.
Hmm.
But yeah, offensive kit, I use Venom Arrow to get my weapon and spell damage buff, plus activate the Master Bow. Swallow Soul's the spammable, Merciless Resolve, of course, Impale, the ranged execute, and the Soul Tether ultimate. Those are my damage abilities. The healing kit is Resolving Vigor and Shrewd Offering. Also, I get healed from my spammable Swallow Soul and siphoning attacks. I also have the Barrier ultimate. Very, very survivable. It's also a long range build, so I'm not really in the middle of the danger all that much, and I can turn invisible. You know,
No big deal.
so
Just on top of
yeah.
it all.
I also have that Phantasmal Escape bubble ability. It gives you major evasion and snare removal and a free roll dodge mechanic whenever you take direct damage. An incredibly good ability. Another very, very good layer of survivability. And I also slot Concealed Weapon on the front bar. That's the melee spammable. I don't actually use it. I just have it slotted because it gives me major berserk when I come out of stealth. And it also gives me minor expedition at all times while slotted. So I just have that as
Just
a
all the buffs.
just has a passive on the front bar. Yeah. So pretty standard loadout, I think. Like if you played like a ranged kind of blood mage style magblade in the past, like around like Somerset era, it was really popular around that time. I think this will feel very familiar to you. It's that build basically. But with this Soul Cleaver set and paired with War Maiden, it's kind of on another level, honestly. So that's all I have to say about Catface. One more build I have to talk about is Intergalactic. He's my sorcerer. I've turned him into a Boken Sorc.
The Boken Sorc. Beautiful.
So we're all familiar with the Sam Sorc, the famous execute Sorc pioneered by our good friend Uncle Sam. I don't know if he was the first one to do it, but we got the idea from him.
Yep.
So I've been running a version of that build for a while, but I just decided that I wanted to try putting together a one bar version of the build. And I'm not the first. Davis, you have a one bar execute Sorc.
Mm-hmm.
Our good friend Mother of Dragons, she famously plays a one bar execute Sorc. But if I can brag on myself just a second, I do believe I have perfected the one bar version of
It
the
is
execute
now
Sorc.
perfect.
I think so. I wholeheartedly recommend. Honestly, I don't think I'm going back to 2 bars on this guy. I think we're sticking with
Yeah.
the Oaken Soul setup. It's awesome.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Yeah, and you can look in our Discord. You can see the scoreboards to prove it. It's a great build. So it's similar gear as the old setup. It's a Kavach Gladiator, Wretched Vitality, the Oaken Soul Ring, and One Piece Magma. The weapon is a bow, which I think is the very best weapon to use for any Oaken Soul build. And 3 Bloodthirsty on the jewelry. Very important.
Hmm.
So the offensive loadout is super duper simple. It's just Crystal Weapon, Endless Fury, and the Overload Ultimate. That's it. So the combo is just you make sure you're light attack weaving and you alternate between Crystal Weapon and Endless Fury. Crystal Weapon, Endless Fury. And you can have Overload active or not. Even without Overload, it's actually quite a bit of pressure because of how Crystal Weapon applies to your next 2 light attacks. So as long as you're always light attack weaving and you're always alternating Crystal Weapon, Endless Fury, Crystal Weapon, Endless Fury, it's a non-stop barrage of damage that's always coming at them. Plus you're keeping that fury on them, so the moment they drop into execute range, that's your kill. Right? Just boom, right away. And of course, if you have Overload active, I mean, forget about it. Hardly anybody's going to survive that. So it's actually surprisingly effective offense, even in a 1v1 situation, like against, I mean, I've taken fairly formidable Dragon Knights out 1v1. And if you're in a situation where you can't get out, you know, we have that bow that gives us a major expedition. We have Streak, we can get away. I'm also using Vigor and the Matriarch for my healing abilities. So it's just kind of the complete package, really. You know, we have a really, really strong offense. Vigor and the Matriarch are all the heals you need. Plus that Matriarch you can heal your teammates with, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. Strong heal, very strong.
Yeah, and supreme mobility with Major Expedition and Streak. You know, everything's covered. If you're on PC, by the way, I strongly recommend if you're going to use the Matriarch, get this add-on called Dead Pet Alert, because people will focus the heck out of that Matriarch. I mean, sometimes I swear like every 5 seconds it's dead and I have to resummon it. And that add-on makes it a lot easier because it just notifies you right away as soon as it dies, and you can just resummon it right then before it's too late, you know. Because sometimes it's not obvious that your pet's dead, and then you go to heal and you're like, oh crap, I don't have my pet.
It's not around.
Yeah. So that helps. Best thing about the build, I think, is that no lightning form, right? It's an Oaken Soul build, so I don't have to use the lightning form. I can actually see my character. I can see the cool fashion that I've.
It's a great thing,
you know,
for the 1-bar Sorcs.
Oh yeah, that's the best part. And I think one thing I will recommend for anyone playing around with this build is to experiment a lot with like different sustained Mundus stones and different armor weights, like how many light pieces versus medium pieces and all that, just to get the sustain dialed in just right. Because using Crystal Weapon and Vigor, those are both stamina costing abilities, and then everything else costs magicka, but you also have to dodge and block and all that stuff. It's very hybridy with the resource drain, and everybody plays a little different. You know, you might dodge a little more or less than I do and that kind of stuff. So for me, what feels good is I'm a Breton. So being a Breton and with 5 light armor and a Serpent Mundus Stone for stamina recovery, that's what feels good to me. You might want to try different things. Maybe Atronach feels better to you. If you're not a Breton, you know, maybe that's what you want to do. Or maybe 3 light, 3 medium, or whatever. I think, you know, you can't, I wouldn't say, you know, you might just start with 5 light and do the Serpent Mundus like I'm recommending, and that might work well for you. But I do strongly recommend experimenting with that quite a bit. Because I had to experiment a lot before I found that kind of sweet spot for me.
Nice.
So those are my builds. Davis, why don't you take over for a while? You got some stuff for us?
Got a couple builds. I'm going to talk about one that I hardly ever talk about. Lord of Nords. My
Who's that?
My Stam DK. I rarely mention this guy, the old Lord of Leapin himself. No, that's definitely one I want to talk about, and more on a hypothetical, as we mentioned with the endless archive. I am grinding away, but I've got a strategy when it comes to grinding sets, and I like to do it slowly and steady. And so I'm getting each armor piece at a time, really, really exploring the full archive and how long can it take to grind out a set. You know, I'm really researching that aspect, but. You know, we've talked about this Basalt Blooded set for a while. I think it's Basalt Blooded Warrior, right?
Yeah, Basalt,
yeah.
like that.
So, you know, we've talked about a while. This is the idea is to get that set on Lord of Nords to get that major heroism. So he'll have major and minor heroism, and just
Yep.
potentially leap for days. So the potential set, and I will say this is going to be. I have the feeling this is going to take a lot of testing because there's a lot of unknowns for this, but the hypothetical setup is the 5-piece basalt blooded, 2-piece blood spawn, 1-piece trainee, 1-piece druid, with the Black Rose Prison dual wield with the Oaken Soul. And then the bar setup for offensive abilities, it's just going to be Whirling Blades, Deep Breath, and Leap. And then for defensive abilities, it's going to be the Quick Cloak, Cinder Storm, and then Coag for the heal. And so that's kind of the idea that I'm initially going to start with once I can get this set. It's kind of hard to, at least for me, it's been kind of hard to theorycraft because I do have worries about kind of the offensive output with just Whirling Blades and Deep Breath and Leap. But it's really all going to kind of hinge on how often is he actually going to be leaping with major, minor heroism. He's a Nord with the Blood Spawn, with a decisive weapon. So if everything works out to plan, it will absolutely be, he'll just be leaping all over the place. He'd be leapfrogging in the middle of a BG. And so if
I
I
could
can
see it working.
yeah,
Especially in the right team comp, you're in there just applying the AoE pressure and swiping up those executes when people get low on health.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
the other thing about it too is like if he leaps enough, it's going to absolutely take care of a lot of the defensive side of things because it's basically just going to be that damage shield reapplying itself over and over and over. So I could see it making this build very, very tanky and kind of an off the beaten path way.
Mm-hmm. And it help your sustain as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dropping the Noxious Breath for the Cinder Storm to make sure that I can, proc the set. So it's potentially dropping. My biggest worry there is the Noxious
Losing
Breath.
that breach.
Yeah, major breach as well as it is a dot. Like it's not a super strong dot, but it does throw a dot on a bunch of players, so it is some pressure.
Yeah.
But it is going to return back some CC, which is nice because this build doesn't have, a lot of potential CC, and that Cinder Storm is a nice CC as well. It is a nice heal. This is
nice
one
heal.
of the unique Oaken Soul builds I have that doesn't have Vigor, and so it's going to I think Cinder Storm is going to kind of fit in a nice placeholder for that heal over time that Vigor kind of fulfills. Because honestly, right now, one of the biggest weaknesses to the Lord of Nords build, which is especially tough right now, but one of the biggest weaknesses is with how many dots get thrown on you in current BGs. If you're in like a real sweaty match and you get a whole bunch of dots thrown on you, you have no way to cleanse them off. And with Coag being that only heal, you're just really just using all your resources to try to heal through those dots. And it's very difficult to do.
You need a heal over time to help fight that.
So I see this as being an absolute way to help with that. The additional leaps will kind of relieve some of that pressure with the Thunderstorm. So I do see it kind of being a better opportunity in those situations.
I think I could see it working well. So your like basic combo, if you don't have leap, is just going to be like deep breath and then spam Whirling Blades until that explodes.
Just deep breath and spinning, and then leaping when I can. I mean, it's just going to be leap as much as you possibly can.
You'll have the quick cloak going, so that's a little bit of pressure over time as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So I hope it works out. It's gonna, hopefully by the next time we have an episode, I will have this set farmed and be able to kind of test this through. But this is the initial idea and the setup that I'm going to start with. And if that offensive kind of toolkit is enough to kind of keep pressure, then I think it's going to be perfect. I've played around with the Mundus. Right now, I currently use the Serpent for the sustain, but I've played around with switching it to the Warrior Mundus with, that's another thing that I'm going to have to test out. With me leaping as much as I am, that's a lot of sustain for the character. So if I can afford to drop that sustain Mundus for additional weapon damage, then that may be another way to get some more damage out of it, to see if that leap is enough sustain. But that's just, you can plug that into the build editor as much as you want. It's not going to tell you how many times you're going to be actually leaping in a match. So it's going to take some testing. But I'm excited. Lord of Leaping, he should be leaping even more. So
The true Lord of Leaping.
the true Lord of Leaping, it should be a crazy amount of leaping. That's really become the goal for the character now. Like it's not even about him being effective in a BG. Just if he's leaping enough where people on other teams are like, how is he leaping so much? That's going to be a win for Lord of the North. It's like mission accomplished.
I wonder if it'll be so much that maybe you might try switching to Baylorg as your monster set.
Oh, that's interesting. Like if it's enough ultimate gen that I can trade out for Baylorg. That's actually a really good idea. I may have to test that because if I am leaping that much, I may not need the defensive side of the Bloodspawn either. That's an option. I'll have to keep that in the back of my mind as a potential trade out because that would also help with the offensive.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun regardless. It's going to be a lot of fun to kind of test my way through that. I'm gonna talk you into running more duo archives with me, and
sure.
we'll get that set farmed in another 22 runs.
Gary, and welcome to the chat, dude. Good to see you, man.
And this is the exciting one for longtime listeners. I've talked about it. I've joked about it.
We've heard the legends.
Happen. The legends. It's bringing it back. I am returning the GuarPlar build. We are going
the return of the GuarPlar.
The return of the GuarPlar for my main character, Davius. It's coming back. The GuarPlar build, the key piece to it is that Cold Harbor's favorite. It is a healing build.
So this is your first ever PvP build.
This is the original, the OG.
Yeah, I mean, you're reprising it. I'm sure it won't be exactly the same, but yeah, the same idea.
Yes, it's going to be a new edition of it, and I actually would already have this completely built because all the stuff that I have for it, I have all the sets and everything. I've just been kind of focusing on Lord of Nords, trying to get that set up. So, the return of the GuarPlar can happen. It will definitely have happened by next episode.
When you least expect it.
When you least expect the GuarPlar, there he is, the GuarPlar going strong. The initial start of the build, and once again, this one's going to have to be tested through a little bit as well. But the initial idea will be the 5-piece Cold Harbor's favorite, 2-piece Engine Guardian, 2-piece Trainee, the Maelstrom Resto, and then Oakensoul. The heals is going to be Breath of Life, Radiating Regen, Extended Ritual, and then the Practiced Incantation for the ult. A lot of strong heals there. And then the other abilities is going to basically just be Race Against Time. And then the key to the build to make it all work is the Symbiosis ability. And that's one that makes your light attacks actually heal your allies instead of do damage. And the key to that is to control that Cold Harbor's favorite proc so that it's only ever doing the heal proc. It's just going to continually do that heal proc.
Because if you heal, it heals. If you do damage, it does damage.
Yes.
So that way, it's just a healing set that way, as long as you use Symbiosis.
Yep, and it's a strong heal. It's I was talking with you kind of through the tooltips and stuff. With this build, it should be about a 12k heal over time over 6 seconds. So about 2k tick per heal, and it should happen every 10 seconds. So should be a pretty strong heal. Realistically, this is not going to be your meta healing build at all. Like, far from it. But the GuarPlar,
it'll surprise you though.
It'll sneak up on you, the GuarPlar. The GuarPlar will heal more than you think. And it's always fun to see your teammates. Like, it makes this little green circle. All the teammates run in the circle, then you run out. It's a lot of fun. I think that probably the most testing that I'll do with this initial setup is that Engine Guardian. Like, I'm going to start with Engine Guardian, but if I'm good on sustain, I'll probably swap that out for a healing monster set. A couple good ones out there. But yeah, Ozazon's definitely one of them. But
Bloodspawn's always good too.
Yeah, Bloodspawn will be great because that'll lead more to that heal ult, and that heal ult's very, very good, very strong. So
it's amazing how long Bloodspawn has been. Just throw it on any PvP build; it's fine.
It's the one that's survived it all. It's survived all the metas.
It's even been nerfed pretty hard since its old version.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. Interrupt away. I am super, super excited to bring the GuarPlar back. I'm excited to get this in and test it out and just bring it back to life. Just super fun to play. Just super fun to kind of be wacky, but still deliver enough heals to be effective with the team. Very off the beaten path build here. It was the original wacky Davius build. It was the original wacky one. So
I remember it being pretty good.
Yeah,
if memory serves.
It's a stronger heal than you would definitely think. You start tacking all those heals together, and it'll throw some heals out there.
Return of the GuarPlar. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Real quick announcement. So the next episode, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be our annual BG report. So that's where we just do a deep dive into the current state of Battlegrounds. We talk all about it. We rank all the classes from worst to best, and we talk all about why they're good, why they're bad, and we get all into it. This time we're going to have a special guest, Wanna Buy My Dog. A very good friend of ours. He's one of the goons, one of the inner circle goons.
Absolutely.
I think you guys will like him a lot. So yeah, you don't want to miss the next one. That's going to be a great episode. We have some emails to get into. scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. Someone's sending me a message. Leave me alone. So what I have scrollingpodcast@gmail.com.
Email scrolling podcast.
That's where you can send the emails to. Every week, Davius is going to pick his favorite email of the bunch, and I'm going to give him some gold. This week, we're going to do 300K, enough to buy a stack of tripods.
Nice. Very nice.
So first email comes from the Golden Elf. Golden Elf asks, Imperial or Stormcloak, and why? Keep in mind that Nords can join the Imperial Legion too, he says.
I like the little subtext there. Perfect. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I don't know. So I really am not super informed about these two factions.
Disappointing, Cat. If I can say so.
I did play Skyrim, but it's it was a long time ago and it's fuzzy. But I just earlier today I did a little bit of reading on the wiki and stuff. I feel like I'm more of a Stormcloak, just going off of vibes, just kind of going off of vibes. Sure. I feel more Stormcloaky. I tend to be like a rebellious, on the side of a rebellion,
We know where your true loyalties lies to the Nords of the North.
On those Imperials, they're all rich and snooty, and I just don't like them. So yeah, I would go Stormcloak. So I guess that's your answer too, Stormcloak?
Yeah, I mean, great question. This is a good question. This is a good specific question. I could talk about this for a while, but I will say that it seems very easy that I pick Stormcloak, and that is my answer. But I do, I'll say this. I've said this in the past. Like my ESO main, Davius Starjumper. Like the reason, I have taken that character name from game to game to game. So the very first time I ever created that character was when I played Morrowind for the first time. And when I played Morrowind, he that character, the part of that game you can join the Imperial Legion and get I think you get the highest rank. So he, in that game I was in the Imperial Legion. I went that route. But then I've just brought him to Oblivion. And then I remade the character into Skyrim and the remade to ESO. And then I just make him older and more beat up looking every time I bring him from game to game to game. But Stormcloak's the answer here. I mean, that's the Skyrim's the home of the Nords. The Stormcloak is the Nord faction. They're kicking those Imperials out of their home, defending the Nord homeland. Yeah, Stormcloak's the answer here for sure. It's a true Nord faction.
There's a little more heart in your answer. I'm just kind of I don't know. I guess Stormcloak. Thanks for writing in, Golden Elf. Next email comes from Caleb. Caleb says, "Hey, I dig the show. I just discovered it a few weeks ago and enjoy listening while I'm at work. I'd like to join the Discord as I am an avid theory crafter myself. Thanks."
We got Caleb in here. We got him the invite.
He's in. He got the
Nice.
invite. Caleb's in, people.
Cat's always great
Happy to
about that.
report.
By the time we read the email, Cat's already got this taken care of. He has already
Yeah.
got it taken care of.
So Caleb doesn't have any questions. He just saying hello pretty much. Next email comes from Sudica. This actually came over Discord, and anytime I see Sudica, that reminds me to remind people that these don't have to be emails. Any way that you can contact us, just say, hey, this is for the podcast, and then just say whatever you have to say. So Discord, in-game, whatever, it's all good. So Sudica says, Dear Scroll and Podcast, just writing in to say that it would be so cool if you could interview legendary players from time to time. Whenever a new episode comes out, I binge it right away, so I've been going through episodes from the distant past in between new ones and digging out gems. I really enjoyed the ones with guests. For example, episode 93 with Mother of Dragons was awesome. I totally thought she was going to talk about how to get 75 kills in a match, but the BG mass murderer talked about, with a passion, how to hoard gold. It cracked me up and made my day.
Oh, that's good.
So, I'm selfishly asking for more. Like people who are exceptionally good at something, be it a particular class, playstyle, role, or task. Get them in, profile them, ask them questions, share their stories. Keep the great content coming, Sudica. That's a great suggestion, and
yeah,
we made a announcement earlier. Want to buy my dog? Going to be a guest on the next episode, so hopefully you'll enjoy that.
Yep.
And I've definitely thought before about trying to get guests more often, and I know a fair number of people that would be excellent guests. It's quite a bit more work for me every time we have a guest.
Very true. Very true.
So,
there's a lot of background extras if that happens.
I'm very meticulous with how I edit, and I want it to be a very polished product in the end, and like just another person to edit. It's just a lot more work, so I don't want to do it all the time, but I do. It is worth it when we do it, you know.
Ket has spent years getting me to the point where he can clean me up. He's polished me up. He's scrubbed and cleaned, and it's taken him years.
What you need to do is you need to ask Davius to take vacations more often, because that's usually when we have guests. Someone to replace Davius when he's out of town.
Get Davius out of here. Get him out of here, then we're gonna get more people on. There we go.
Because that's when Mother of Dragons was a guest. It's because you were out of town,
that's
and
true.
I asked her to fill for you.
That's true. I think I had a vacation. I think it was a vacation. It was either a work trip or a vacation. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, it was one of those. But thanks for writing in, Sudica. Last email comes from Garion. Garion asks, Ket, can you suggest on the podcast that everyone submits a ticket in-game asking for a separate deathmatch queue for Battlegrounds, and that deathmatch is removed from the random queue? Garion says, if enough of us put in tickets and do so frequently, they might listen and do something. So I'm passing that along. I generally don't like to use the podcast as like a platform to like tell people to go do something, but I can pass your message along, Garion. So there you go. Garion says
it's officially been passed along. The official deathmatch protest.
But definitely, it's a great idea to submit feedback about that, and it may or may not make any kind of difference. But if they know that this is something that people want, it can't hurt, I don't know if this exact solution is it, but just if we just let Exhaust know, like, hey, we want to be able to play deathmatch, please, they can figure out how to do it.
I'm always curious of, like, there is a lot of us that want the deathmatch queue and want to only play deathmatch. Like, there is a lot of us, but what is that? Like, there's a lot of us in relation to, we all know the names and play to each other, but like, I wonder if there's a lot of us in relation to like the population of the game. Like,
no.
Yeah. And I think that's our biggest challenge. Like, there may be, 100 of us, or 200 of us, like we, that all want to be in the deathmatch queue and can keep that thing going. But if it is 200 in relation to the, I don't know how many players play the game, 1 million, 2 million, whatever it is, like if it's like a 2%, 1%, 2% number, I just don't see ZOS ever. I just don't see them ever making that change based on just the percentage. But I could be wrong. I'm just making up numbers here. But I do think that's our potential biggest challenge for our deathmatch crew in the game out there.
Yeah, it seems like a long shot because it is a pretty small subset of the player base, and as much as we don't like to admit it, there are a great number of people that like things just how they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
Davis, what's your favorite email?
So I have to ask, do we get any Xboxers on here? Not that Let's factors in, but it would be great to know.
I think it's all PC people here. I'm not sure about Caleb, but otherwise I think it's all PC people.
I'm gonna go Golden Elf. I liked the Imperial Stormcloak. It appealed to my ESO love of the ESO lore. I don't know Golden what that Elf. Sentence I just said was, but the message got across.
Golden Elf actually might be Xbox.
Oh, I see what you did here. It was a setup from the beginning.
The Xbox people have been working on maybe having a little something because we have a presence on the Xbox platform now.
Got a goon guild over there.
I think they've been working on getting some prize gold together, but I don't think it'll be the full 300K Golden Elf. But we'll get in touch and we'll get you something. All right, we'll get you a little something.
We get you something. Got you something.
Get you a little something. I think the exchange rate between Xbox and PC is very different too. So 300K might be like a bazillion gold over there. You know, like.
That's Mother of Dragons gold right there. I mean, calm down, everybody, calm down.
All right, we'll get you hooked up, Golden Elf, one way or another. So that is scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. Make any suggestions for the show, any questions, tell us jokes, say hello. Food-related emails, highly encouraged. And like I said, you can hit us up in Discord or in the game. Doesn't have to be an email. However you can get in touch with us, do it. We have a guild. The guild's name is Stoon's Goons. It is literally the best PvP guild in the game, and it just so happens to also be the best named guild on the PCNA server. It's also the official guild of the Scrollin' Podcast. We're on PCNA and Xbox NA. If you'd like to join...
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt because you're on a roll and it's fantastic. Do we want to share the story of the Stoon's Goons that happened the past week?
Do we want to the past week? What happened in the past week?
This was we had a little leadership. We had a little leadership issue.
I accidentally left the guild. Yeah, that's right.
It was devastating news. People were mortified. We didn't know what happened. Turns out Ket just didn't realize he left.
I was like, forget you guys.
Forget you all.
No, sorry. It must have been because I think you press, like, if you're on that screen, it's like press E to leave the guild, or it's press X to leave the guild, and then E to confirm, which is the exact thing that you do to, like, delete stuff out of mail and then confirm that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing I must have been doing some, like kind of automatic key button presses, and I was just on that screen, and that's what happened.
It's surprisingly very easy to do, and it doesn't ask you. It's just done and done.
Yeah, boom, boom. Yeah.
You got to put if you want to delete a random blue item that you don't want anymore, you got to type in all caps. But if you leave a guild, no problem. Very easy to do.
It should at least because I'm the guild owner, so
it just should at least let you bail.
It shouldn't let you leave if you're the guild owner. Yeah. It should be like, no, you need to demote yourself and then you can leave. Use the add-on, no thank you, to disable the ability to leave a guild. An add-on for that?
There's an add-on for everything. There's an add-on for
to not leave guilds?
Oh, that was good. Sorry, I interrupted, but that was too good not to bring up. It was a fun random day of the week there.
If you would like to join the Stoon's Goons on either PCNA or Xbox NA, you can email us at scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. If your guild roster is full, or if you're on a different platform, that's okay. The Discord is really where the action is anyway. That's where everybody hangs out and we're talking about build ideas and sharing memes and all that kind of stuff. And everybody who's on the Discord is a fully fledged goon. So scrollingpodcasts@gmail.com if you want to join the guild or the Discord or both. If you'd like to support the show, one easy thing you can do is go to the Apple Podcast app and give us a star rating and especially a written review. If you'd like to go a step further than that and support us in a bigger way, you can go to patreon.com/scrollingpodcast and sign up to receive Stoon's Boon for $3 a month. That gets you access to a number of benefits, including the Booncast, which is a shorter solo episode or a shorter solo podcast that I do on the off weeks. So you get a little scrolling every week. You can also support us by just putting stuff in the guild bank on PCNA or on Xbox NA. If you have some extra gold, crafting mats, tripods, anything of value that you think might help, just toss it in the guild bank. That actually helps a lot. And again, just come join the Discord and hang out with us, participate in conversations. That kind of stuff absolutely fuels the show. If nothing else, just being our friend helps out quite a bit. Shout out to the chat, Gary and Grizzly Khan and Gummy Bear. Thank you guys for being here. Shout out to Uncle Sam, King Nar, Shrimpo, Nachu, Wanna Buy My Dog, Outcast, Luxai. There were some others. What? Those guys, Dekaira and what was his name?
Napalm? Is that right?
Napalm.
Nice.
Yep.
Look at me remembering things.
Yep. Yeah, we've all just been playing together a lot here lately. Just a good group of friends. Really glad to have those around. Shout out to the Elder Goons, the OGs. Thank you guys for being around for so long and for being our friends. And shout out to our Stoons Boon recipients, the Patreon supporters, Pork Body, Toadster, Gummy Bear, Grizzly Khan, Thomas, Taggart, Mother of Dragons, Sudica, Jim, Maxwell, and Derpin Stuff. Thank you guys very, very much. Davis, you have anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, guys, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.